Hi, welcome back to English 110 Online this week. This week, September 18th through 24th, we're doing short reports. Hi, welcome back to English 110 Online. This week we're doing short reports and a portfolio on them because we started them last week. But this week we're going to do the first part of the portfolio and then we'll continue next week and do a second part of the portfolio. So, um, you want to, after you view the video, you want to check out what we have this week for the page. So let's go up here to, oh my gosh. Hi, welcome back to English 110 Online this week. This week we're going to be continuing to work in chapters 3 and chapter 4 as we did last week. And this will be the first part of a portfolio assignment this week, and then next week we'll continue to work in the same chapters and you'll have your second part of your portfolio assignment for this. You'll want to view the slideshow for the review of the business letter format, which also gives you the booklet format and the recommendations report, because that's what we're going to be covering this week. So review chapters 3 and 4 is necessary. You can go back through those slideshows that I had last week if you would like to, but particularly you want to pay attention here to the evaluating a business letter on page 42 and the checklist for evaluating a booklet report on page 84. So review the Google slide presentation for 3 and 4 again if you need to, but maybe you'll remember enough so that the review for this week will be enough for you. We have one graded assignment, core assignment 2, part 1, the portfolio of a recommendation report in booklet format with visuals. Okay, so last week we worked on some visuals, and this week you're going to incorporate some visuals into a booklet format report for a recommendation report. Okay, so here is the excuse me, the business letter format, booklet format recommendation report slideshow. So let's open that up and take a quick look at it. Part of it is just to review, as I said, the business letter format, which we went over, which you saw before, from chapters 3 and 4. Both of these come from those chapters. So there's information here that you can click on that has to do with the most important parts that have to do with the business letter format and a booklet report format. So here's the business letter format that you can click on. There's a link there that you can click on and see that again. And then there's also information about recommendation reports and what you need to have for a recommendation report. And then there's information about what the kinds of headings and subheadings that you'll use in your report. And then there is information showing what a recommendation report looks like. I pulled this from your textbook if you want to look at that in your textbook. And then there's information about a progress report in booklet format. Now, I don't want you to get confused here because we're writing a recommendation report in booklet format, and I didn't have an example of that in the book, but I do have the example of the recommendation report and another kind of report in the booklet format. So don't get confused about that. And so there's my slide. Don't be confused. And then this particular report requires you to have a cover letter for your booklet formatted report, and so that's why I have given you the sample of the business letter format again, so that you can look at that and make sure that you have your business letter format for that. Then there's a slide with the checklist on it, and then there are slides that show the recommendation report, what a title page would look like for a booklet formatted report. Then there is a sample recommendation report with visuals, something that you can actually click on and look at. And then we have a final checklist for the booklet report. So you can check your format on that too. So you can look through that and take your time looking through that business letter format review, the booklet format, and the recommendation report slideshow. And let me know if you don't understand something, you have any questions, but I think it's pretty straightforward once you start to look at it. So here is our assignment for the week. Let's click on that. And I'll go ahead and open this up so that we can see the full assignment. Okay, so here's our assignment. You're going to be creating a recommendation report, and it's going to be in a booklet format. So you want to do, as you always do, determine your purpose, which is to make a recommendation, identify your audience, write effectively to achieve the appropriate tone. Remember, this is business report, and so you want it to have that effective tone. And you're also, when you're recommending something, you're trying to sell someone on your ideas, and so be solicitous in your remarks in your letter as well. Follow the established guidelines specific to the workplace writing, in this case a booklet report, a business letter, and a recommendation report. Clear, concise language. Remember, don't get too wordy, and effectively employ visuals to explain a problem, persuade an audience, and you're going to be able to do that too. What we're doing is a short recommendation report that includes excludes the use of visuals in the booklet report format. So a recommendation report, booklet format, and that's what we're all about. The objective is to use chapters 3 and 4 in your textbook to compose a recommendation report. It should include visuals that help the reader better understand the problem or be persuaded to consider your recommendations. In other words, not decorative visuals, but visuals that actually add value to your business report. Your report should achieve appropriate purpose, audience, and tone for the workplace. Should be grammatically and mechanically as correct as possible, and pay attention to your formatting, because it'll be graded the same way I usually grade, with 20% going towards format, 20% for organization, 20% for content, 20% for grammatically correct sentences, and then 20% for mechanical and typographical accuracy. All right, so here is the assignment. It's exercise 4.7 in your textbook. Write a report to the student services director or the physical plant director at your college, and you may make that up. You don't have to investigate that, but if you would like to do it accurately, you would address it to our vice president here. And you can check that out on the Nash Community College webpage, or you can just create a name, make it up for yourself. So you're evaluating a major campus building with respect to accessibility for individuals who are physically challenged. Discuss the presence or absence of special signs, doors, ramps, elevators, restroom facilities, and the like. Suggest additional accommodations that should be provided if such needs exist. And you're going to do this in a booklet format, and you're going to include visuals with this. And I have made a sample for you to look at, and we'll look at that in just a minute. Research. In order to complete the assignment, you'll need to explore our campus and take notes on what kinds of accessibility issues we have on campus. And if for some reason you can't complete your research on our campus, research some other building that you do have access to. It doesn't have to be our campus. It can be some other building that you have access to, the post office or whatever, somewhere that you go and you have access to. Do not research personal residences. And if you do research off our campus, make sure you get permission to take pictures. Just tell the manager or the owner about your assignment for English 110, and probably they'll be very willing for you to be able to do that. Pretend you're someone who is using a wheelchair or crutches or a walker, and note where you would have trouble on campus or in the building that you're investigating. You don't have to cover the whole campus, but find one building that has issues and focus on that, and be sure to make notes and take pictures as you go. These will go into the report. Also, it can help if the persuasion part of your recommendation report, if you note and take pictures of areas of the building that do accommodate people who might have accessibility issues. So check entrances and exits, check parking situations, check inside access as well as outside access. Take notes and pictures as you investigate. It can be cumbersome and take quite a bit of time, so that's why I'm suggesting that you just focus on one building or even one part of one building. You do not have to make this like a major investigative report. I did some investigation of the up here on the second floor, building D, where my office is, and I just did one section, so that will suffice if you do the same thing. The booklet format requires you to, the report to be accompanied by a cover, email, or a letter. And since you are not doing a recommendation report for your company, but instead for our campus or some other building that you do not work at, you'll write an accompanying business letter. So refer back to Chapter 2 for full block business letter format. If you look at that slide show that I made for the review for this week, it has a full block letter in the slide too, so you don't have to go back through your book unless you just want to. If you would like to have the actual person who would be in charge of our campus, our physical facility, I have put that on here. Our vice president of finance and the chief financial officer is in charge of our facility here, and so I put her name, Ms. Adrienne Covington, and this is an accurate address, so if you want to use that you can, or as I said, if you want to just make up one, you can do that also. The booklet format also requires a title page for the report, so I've shown you a title page in the slideshow. There's a title page on page 77 of your text, and then there are some links here to a sample cover letter for this assignment. So this is something that I actually put together so you could see what it would look like. And so it is a live link, and if you click on that, in just a moment, it will come up. Okay, so here we have, I used this address and this date. Ms. Adrienne Covington, Vice President of Finance, put it in. Dear Ms. Covington, remember your colon on a business letter. I'm enclosing a recommendation report concerning a problem in accessibility I observed in Building C on Nash Community College's campus. This report will contain the following information, and then I have put the parts, the introductory summary, the problem, the solution, and the discussion. This is what your report will actually include. Thank you for reviewing this report, and I hope you will consider my recommendations. Sincerely, leave some space to sign, and you can actually change your font and make it look like a signature in there, which is what I did here. And then enclosure, you want to use your enclosure at the bottom because you're actually enclosing something with this business letter. So enclosure : recommendation report. So you can just follow that format, and that is pretty straightforward, I think. All right, let me see if I can get back to my assignment. No, I can't. But anyway, the other part of the assignment, I'm going to have to open it again here. Hang on just a second. The other part of the assignment, besides the sample cover letter, is I have shown you, wait just a second while this pulls up again. Come on. Okay. So is this sample recommendation report in booklet format. So this would be a sample of the report as you would do it. Following that, there's a checklist for evaluating a booklet report, and then of course after you have after you have created your business letter, and then and submitted, and then put your recommendation report following it, and saved it on the document, then you can go ahead and make anything. Oh, this is okay. So this is for next week. Okay, this is next week. I'm sorry. I was reading and saying, what does this say? Okay. You'll have an opportunity after you see it next week. So to be sure to make notes as to what you change in your document when you access it and revise it. And once the document's been revised, you'll submit it on the turn it in link for part 2 of this assignment. So in other words, this week you'll turn in like your best effort. I'll make comments on it and give it back to you, and next week you'll go back and revise it to turn in for your most important part of your grade, your polished copy. It's kind of a complicated assignment, so I wanted to give you a chance to submit it and then see my comments before you, so you can work on it before you turn it in again. All right, here is the sample recommendation report in booklet format. And also be advised, you can't have access to these documents unless you are signed in with your NASH student ID. All right, so here's my, the first thing you'll have is a heading that says Introductory Summary. I am a student at Nash Community College. I have observed some accessibility problems in Building C on campus. I hope you will consider adopting my recommendations for this problem. Now that is the introductory summary for your report. And of course, if you haven't observed something here at Nash Community College, you would just put in whatever it is that you have observed. All right, so then we have another heading, the problem, and under that, although there are areas of Building C that do not have any accessibility problems, there are a few areas that do. One area with accessibility problems is the women's bathroom. The entrance is fairly easy to open, even for a person in a wheelchair, because the door is fairly lightweight and can be pushed open. And see Figure 1 below for a picture of the women's bathroom entrance. You must always mention the figure in your text, and then you insert the picture, and then underneath we label it with a number, Figure 1, and a title, Women's Bathroom Entrance. So I did this so you'll know exactly how to do it. And then I continue with my text. Once inside the bathroom, the stall at the far end is properly equipped to assist someone with physical accessibility issues. There are handrails provided for assistance onto and off of the toilet. See figure 2 below. And so I actually took a picture of the handrails and everything there. Figure 2, accessible stall with handrails. There is not really enough room inside a stall for a wheelchair to fit and give a person the room to maneuver from the chair to the handrails and to the toilet. A larger stall is probably needed for that. So I've mentioned what they have done well here and how it is helpful. And, you know, if I had a walker or maybe crutches, this would be sufficient. But a wheelchair, it's not going to be sufficient. After leaving the stall, the sinks are accessible because a wheelchair can roll underneath, and the water is reachable too and easy to turn on with a push button. The water automatically shuts off. However, the soap dispenser is probably too high for a person in a wheelchair to reach. The dispenser should be lowered, or a dispenser that sits on the sink should be available. I'm not going to read all of this to you, but here I have put a picture in of the problem. So here's figure 3, the sink area with the soap dispenser. So if I'm sitting in a wheelchair, and even though I can roll up underneath and I got the push buttons, all of that's available to me, I'm not going to be able to reach that soap that's way up there. So and I've noticed I've said here, see figure 4 for a picture of the exit door, because I went on and started talking about the exit door. It's best to put your photos as close to where you mentioned them as possible. There wasn't room at the bottom of that, so I just went on and talked about figure 3 and figure 4 before I actually put the pictures in. And there's my figure 4 exit door that requires pulling, which is hard. It's easy enough to push, but harder to pull something open if you have a walker, wheelchair, crutches, that sort of thing. So then after I have shown the problem and I have added value to my report by including those graphics, see, that's why I said not just something decorative, but something that actually adds value to your report. Then I have the heading of the solution. I have 3 recommendations for the women's bathroom in Building C, and I have given 3 suggestions there. And then we'll have a heading that is for the discussion. And while I realize that Nash Community College complies with minimum requirements for accessibility of the campus, there are still some areas that are difficult for people who are physically challenged. I know that Nash Community College cares for all our students and strives to make their experience on campus the best it can possibly be. I hope you will consider these recommendations in order to make that experience wonderful for everyone. And so that is my discussion about this, leaving room for, you know, a back and forth between me and Ms. Covington if she is indeed going to respond to me. Now, of course, this is not something I want you to actually send to anyone. This is just something I want you to submit for an assignment. Okay, so do your best, give it your best shot, and when you have finished it, then you want to submit it on the core assignment. Now be sure that you submit, that you put your cover letter, insert a page break, and then do your recommendation report, so that because the Turnitin assignment will only take 1 file, so be sure you put it in there. And don't panic, because next week we'll have you'll have the opportunity to go back in there and work on it some and polish it up and follow my advice that I've given you, and you'll be able to submit it for a much better grade for the next time. So work hard on this assignment, do the very best that you possibly can, and when you get to the point where you need some help or you need some advice, email me, call me, come see me, whatever you want to do, and I'll be glad to help you. And do remember that next week you'll have another opportunity to work on this after I have made some comments on it, and you can review that. Okay, so you have a great week, and I will talk to you very soon.